Yes. Now we have seen basically it for the single data for passing to the multiple test cases, okay, through an XML file. But there may be the requirement, just like we have to pass the multiple data in a single test case. Okay, so suppose there is a one test case, just like for the login functionality. So we can pass the valid credentials also for the username and the password, and we can check with the invalid credentials also. So there will be the multiple combinations will be there for the username and the password. Okay, so we have to test it for that. So it is basically possible by using the data provider annotation, which is inside the TestNg. So we will for that we will create one class directly for that. So I'm just naming it as data provider test. Okay, we finished it. Yes, and inside this we will create one class. It is a public void, and we can say it is a login functionality test. Okay, so this is the method we have considered. Okay. uh, yes, and before execution of this method we have to use the test annotation. We have to import it. Okay. So here we are using the login functionality. So suppose we have to pass the username and the password inside the functionality. So inside this method we will write the code for a login. Okay, and when we are passing the data into the username field, okay, we will get it data from these parameters. So I'm just passing the parameter as string username. Okay, string username, and here it is a string password. Okay, so these are the two parameters we are passing. Okay, so same we have to use inside the code. So currently we will just print it. Okay, these parameters. So it is a username. Okay, yeah, inside this we will just make one space between the username and the password. Yes. Okay, so these are the two parameters. Okay, and suppose we are having the combinations of username and password, we can say. Okay, we are having the different combination. So suppose the first combination is admin. Okay, and their password, suppose it is admin123. It is a valid password for the orange HRM. Okay, the site which we have seen earlier. Okay, so we can say it is a valid login. Okay, it is a valid login. Okay, and suppose second combination we are having, it is admin is the username, and the password is suppose admin12. Okay, so it is a invalid, we can say uh, invalid login. Invalid login credentials, we can say. Then here suppose we are passing the admin123, and the password we are passing it is admin. Okay, so it is also suppose invalid credentials, invalid login credentials. Okay, credentials. So these are the combination of data which we have to use inside this method. So is a username and the password. So admin is the first combination, admin is the username, admin123 is the password. Okay, so this is the combination of data. So basically we have to store this data in the 2D array. Okay, and we will retrieve that data in this login functionality test. So for that we have to write one method for just storing this data in the 2D array. So suppose I'm just writing a method just like public void get data. Okay, is the method we will write. So inside this we will create a 2D array. So it is a object. Suppose object array we are considering, and suppose reference variable we are considering is a data. Then new object. But now we have to just declare the size of the array. So how we can declare here the size? So currently we are having the three rows, right? One, two, and three. That means we can say it is a three rows. That means three combination of a data, and the two columns are there, username and the password. So here the column is two. So this is basically the declaration. So I think spelling mismatch is object. Okay, so this is the object array we have considered. Now one by one we have to provide the data inside this array, just like this admin 123, then these are the username and the password we have to store into the array. So we will store it. So at the first index of the 2D array, so 0 0 index, we can say 0th row and the 0th column. Okay, we will store the data just like it is admin. Okay, admin is the data which we are storing. Then for that, for the first row only, we have to provide the password. Okay, so here 0th row and first column. Okay, and here we will provide the password as admin 123. Okay, so suppose this is the combination of valid data. Okay, valid data. I have to close this. And the second combination, we have to use it for the invalid data. Okay, invalid data. Yes, now we have to store it with admin and admin 123. So suppose I'm just using the same combination, and we will change uh, the indexing. Okay, so here it will be the first row 0th column, first row first column. Here it will be the second row 0th column, and second row first column. So here we'll change the data also. Here we'll pass the admin 1 2. Okay, it is invalid data basically. Same here, it is the invalid data. Here we'll pass what we are passing, admin 123. Okay, so it is a invalid data, and the password, suppose it is admin. Okay, so this is the three type of a data we have considered. Okay, and we have to use this data for the login functionality. So basically we have to return this also. Without returning, the data will not be get into the test. Okay, so we will return it. Return, you can say data. Okay, so yes, so if we are returning a data, so our return type of the method should be that particular object creation method. Okay, because when we are using the void, so means we are not returning anything. Okay, so our return type should be object array. So I'm just directly getting it. So change method to return type. Okay, so object array should be the return type. Yes, now it is done. So before that method, we have to use the data provider. Okay, data provider annotation. So we will import it. Okay, so data provider we have used. Now this is the declaration of the data provider, but how it may consider as a data to this method. So after test, we have to use the attribute as data provider. Okay, data provider, we are using the attribute, and inside this we have to pass the name of the method from which method we are getting the data. Okay, so I'm passing here the method name. So now the one by one data will be get into this method. Okay, so there is only one method. So for this method, username and the password for the three combination of data should be printed. So we will execute it. So run as TestNg test. Yes, we can just look into this. So it is admin 123, admin 12. These are the different combination of data. So login functionality, the three times it is executed. First time it is executed and it get the data admin 123. Second time it executed and it get the data admin 12. And the third time it is executed and get the data admin 123 and admin. So this is basically the at the rate data provider annotation. Okay, and the functionality is basically when we are using, when we have to pass the different or multiple data inside our test case. Understood? Okay, okay, so I will just share this code with you. Okay, with both, and you just go through it. Okay, I'm just